traffic, Coastline 4041 uniform, departing 11, glider and south.
I also remember a flight when I was trying to save myself from outlanding at 200 meters AGL, 95 kilometers away from my home airfield, and the stress I felt.
This is Soaring the Sky, a glider pilot's podcast, coming to you from the Mid-Atlantic region here in the United States and bringing you great soaring content from glider pilots all over the globe. We now join Chuck and our guest pilot.
Hey everybody, I'm Mitch Thompson, producer of Soaring the Sky. So Chuck gets to have this week off, and I get to jump on the mic and do this episode's feature interview. We're fortunate enough to have with us Barbara Mrazova. Sorry, Barbara, if I mispronounced that. AKA Gliding Junkie on Instagram with us this week. And it's great to get her back on the pod and share with you some of her experiences from the 2021 season and just overall catch up since the last time we had her on the show, which was quite some time ago now. And speaking of time, it has been flying with life in general and this podcast. And now we've built up something over 150,000 plus downloads, I think. And we're ranking top 5 in most major countries around the world where soaring is a thing. So really happy with the growth of the show and the number of new people that are coming on board every week. It's really great to see that. And it was always our goal to expand the sport of soaring beyond just the confines of current and really active glider pilots to other people that might just be adjacently interested or curious about our great sport. We couldn't do all this without, of course, the great guests that we've had on the show, and certainly not without all the great listeners that have come on board and stuck with us throughout this whole crazy journey. Please feel free to reach out if you or someone you know wants to be on the show. And please, of course, share our podcast with all your friends and family that might find this interesting. Also, like with all podcasts, if you haven't already, please give us a review on your podcast app of choice. But anyway, let's dive into the interview with Barbara. It was a lot of fun to catch up with her, and we think you're going to really enjoy this episode. And so without further ado, Barbara Mrazova, the Gliding Junkie. Barbara, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Mitch.
It's been,
my pleasure.
It's been a while since we did a full interview segment with you, and since then we've picked up many thousands of new listeners. So might be a good idea if we could just get you to maybe start with a short intro of your aviation story and how you got into soaring, sailplanes and racing and all that good stuff.
Okay. Well, hi, Mitch. Thank you for having me once again on the podcast, because you grew so fast and you grew so well. And I really love to listen to the podcast and other pilots all around the world. So just to briefly introduce myself, I'm Barbara. I'm from the Czech Republic, and I've been flying since 2012. In Zbraslavice Aero Club, thanks to my parents, who are both members there too. And I'm Czech Women Gliding team member, and I participated at Women Worlds 2019 and Junior Worlds 2019. I currently fly LS8, and I'm also a gliding instructor, and I'm a member of Czech Sporting Commission. And I have no idea how I found the pure joy out of competitions, because nobody in my family enjoy that well. They just enjoy flying just as it is. So this is something I don't know, but I find it really joyful and really beautiful.
So both your parents are soaring pilots?
Yeah. And my dad is also a tow pilot. So we have it like a full team because my mom is also a scorer at gliding competitions. So it is always like a family stuff when there is a competition in Czech Republic.
So let me guess, who was your tow pilot for your solo?
That was my dad, obviously.
Right. That's great. How did that go, by the way? Were you really
Well,
were you
it
more
was
nervous having your dad towing you, or less nervous?
well. I actually found out like last minute that I'm going solo because I didn't really expect that because I'm always unsatisfied with my performance. Speaking about gliding, so I was like really sad that it's not going ahead. But then I flew with one instructor. He told me, "Okay, this could be just the examination before solo. So now you go solo." Everybody knew, but except of me. So I found that really last minute. So I didn't really have time to start being nervous or something.
You
And
probably did that on purpose, just
yeah, I think
for a
so.
reason,
I think
right?
so.
But you wouldn't.
I think so. I'm really glad they did that like this because in case I knew in advance, I would be so nervous and
Yeah,
it
you wouldn't be
wouldn't be
sleeping,
really that good.
right? And just be too nervous. So
Yeah.
that's that's cool. So yeah, so 2020 was pretty bad with COVID and all that relative to the competition soaring. But it seems like things improved a little bit in for the 2021 season.
The season 20 and 21 was a bit uncertain because most of the world competitions were cancelled or postponed somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And during God knows which wave it was, a national championship in Czech Republic received an exception again
Right.
with really strict measures, but we were all glad we could compete at last. We enjoyed the Wave Camp 2 this year, finally. So I think that after all, it could have been much worse.
Where was the wave camp?
Where it was at the Jeseníky Mountains in Czech Republic, as every year. But last year it was cancelled, and luckily this year we could do it after all. Even though we were really worried if another lockdown would strike, but luckily it also happened, so we could enjoy the last joy of the season as well.
Nice. And what kind of altitudes do you typically get there on a good?
Well, I was pretty unlucky this year because both of the best days of the 2 weeks of wave camp, I had to work. So I was just sadly sitting like inside in warmth and was watching others on the trekking. But yeah, but it was amazing. Others gained or flew at heights around 7 kilometers QNH, so like really at the highest sailing allowed. Speaking about wave areas, so it was pretty amazing, and we enjoyed sunny weather. There were like out of the 2 weeks, there were 2 or 3 days that it was raining or it was
Mm-hmm.
like really cloudy. So otherwise, it was really great experience to be there for the whole 2 weeks. Even though I didn't fly the best days, but others enjoyed it. So I was glad it was a successful wave camp. It was good.
And does air traffic control open a window specifically for that camp, or don't?
We have an agreement with like Czech organization that controls the airspace over the Czech Republic,
Mm-hmm.
and we are lucky enough that those areas might be activated throughout the year because in the past it worked like there were only those 2 weeks when those airspaces were allowed for gliders, and now you just have to call a day before and activate the airspace. And good thing is that those airspaces are not really like in the path of commercial flying.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that strict for the commercial flying as well. Of course, it is under a coordination with both sides. So we have to maintain those airspaces as we don't do any violations of the areas or airspaces. The other side is really willing to help us, so there is a great deal, and we're trying to maintain it for the next years.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Sounds like you guys get a lot of support from, your local government and, supporting agencies and whatnot. That's fantastic.
Yeah, we're really grateful for this because not everywhere it works. Not everywhere it works like that, and of course it is like a great coordination and discussion between all those organizations, like civil or sport flying organizations, and the official organizations in charge of controlling the airspace. So all those people who are involved are like the biggest heroes for us, for all our wave pilots, because they are those people who are responsible for the deal. So yeah, huge thanks for them.
Fantastic. So sticking with 2021 racing for a minute, it was great to see a woman pilot from Germany, Katrin Senna, do so great at the Sailplane Grand Prix World Final. I think that was in September, and my guess is you and many of your fellow women glider pilots from all over the world were rooting for her, and I bet she offers up a lot of inspiration for younger pilots who see what she's been doing.
Yeah, well, I don't know how others or other pilots, but I so love to follow sailplane Grand Prix races, like all of the races. And I was so glad that there were two women nominated for the Grand Prix, like Melanie and Katrin. I was so happy Katrin did so well and came fourth total, beating one of my gliding idols, Tyler Holligos. And I always cheer for women pilots all around the world because when I see such success, it motivates me that next time it might be me or any other woman in the world who is aspiring or trying to achieve something in gliding. So yeah, this is really a great motivation for all of the pilots, like all of the female pilots that want to do something or want to achieve something in gliding. So this is really amazing.
Yeah, because unlike a lot of sports, there really isn't anything, from a physical perspective or anything really holding women back from competing at the highest level with the best men pilots, right? I mean, it's really a mental. I mean, there's a physical aspect to it, but it doesn't rely on brute strength and all that stuff. So you would expect over time that more and more women will get in there and mix it up and hopefully post some great results like that again.
Well, it is really hard to compare women and men in gliding because we like have different ways of gliding or competing. Like those women who are really successful among men, they do the difference. So they show others that it's possible to be as good as men. As you said, it's not about any physical strength or something. It's about like mental strength, and that you can cope with the stress, that you can cope with all those ideas, all those ways you can choose. And yeah, well, this was really great success, and just wow.
Well, maybe it'll be you someday, and in the Grand Prix there.
I'm working on that. Working on that. I'm far away from that, but I'm working on that, and I'm really motivated. And I hope to keep my consistency in my preparations. So hopefully one day it will be me as well.
Wings and Wheels has been serving the soaring and sport aviation community for over 30 years. They hands down have the largest and most comprehensive inventory of sailplane and soaring supplies in North America, and they ship globally. Nearly everything you'll find on their site is in stock and ready for same-day shipping. Wings and Wheels is the exclusive American representative for HPH sailplanes. Be sure to check out the Twin Shark, their latest launch. The team has thousands of hours of flying experience in gliders and airplanes, staffed by Adam, Kelly, Julie, and Sean. A friendly voice will answer when you call or email them. Check them out at wingsandwheels.com.
So with 2022 coming up here on the horizon, what are your goals for 22, and have you firmed up any commitments for competitions that you'll be attending, or
Yeah, I always write down my goals for the upcoming season. So I hope to compete at all the national championships Czech Republic will held or organize. So it will be a national championship and Czech regional championship. And also my home IRA club organizes AZ Cup, which is like the first competition of the season each year, which was sadly cancelled due to COVID this year.
Mhm.
So hopefully next year it will work out with the situation and everything. And so I can compete at my home as well. And luckily the Czech Nationals will be organized by my home IRA club as well. So I will be at my home basically. So
Oh, great.
yeah, I have really high hopes for next year. I always have high hopes. I always have those dream goals. Then I have those realistic goals, and I try to meet some kind in the middle of those two dream and realistic goals. So yeah, we will see what next season brings. We are still waiting for the nominations for Women Worlds. So hopefully, I will be among those women who will compete in England. So we will see.
Alrighty, well, yeah, good luck with that, and we can check back maybe later in 22 with you and see how some of that stuff turned out.
Yeah, definitely.
So putting aside the competition and just the race results and all that for a moment, can you share with listeners a single flight from 2021 that was really memorable for you for whatever reason, and just a soaring flight that sticks out in your mind and something that you'll remember,
Mhm.
and what made it special?
Well, it's really hard to pick only one flight because there were quite a few memorable flights this year. It was my first 600-kilometer triangle. It was my daily third place at Czech Nationals in 50-meter class on 3 hours AAT between range hours, or maybe some wave flying during this year's wave camp. And I also remember a flight when I was trying to save myself from Outlandic at 200 meters AGL, 95 kilometers away from my home airfield at 2 p.m. and the stress I felt as I had to start my duty at work at 5 p.m. So there are really many flights that I remember this year.
Let's go to that one then. Talk about talk about how you got into that kind of spot where you said you were 200 meters.
Yeah, it was pretty low. I already picked my field to land. And I remember if I took a video out of the flight, it would be really funny because I was talking to the gliding guard and I was saying, please, God, please give me the thermal I need. I will just go home and be happy that I flew. please do it. And and so I was talking like this. Then I used some really, really bad language about my idea to fly on that day because the forecast really said, because there were cumulus clouds all over, and there were some pretty nice thermals on the way to the first turn point, where I happened to be at 200 meters AGL on my way back. And the forecast said that the cumulus clouds will disappear, but I expected that there will be still some strong thermals or reasonable thermals in the blue, but there weren't. So I really used a rude and bad language on my person, that I had that bad idea to fly on that day, but I really wanted to do some training, and luckily I saved myself from the 2 meters AGL and came back home. But
So the gods
yeah,
were the gliding gods
yes,
talked back to you, I guess, even
yeah.
after all your bad language. Um, what one thing I'm always curious, especially with the low saves, because it seems like, in my much more limited experience than you, of course, but it just seems like the closer you are to terrain and the source of thermal activity, the tighter and smaller the thermal is, and so engaging in a thermal that's that low to the ground, do you have to bank in it at a very extreme bank angle to stay in it, or
Well,
really?
um, usually, because I happen to be this low many times this year. I wish I hadn't got myself into such situations that often, but I did, unfortunately. But I always do sharp turns, because that's how I learned to thermal. I like to feel the thermal, like the strength of it in the sharp turns. So it doesn't really change like lower in lower heights. So when I'm pretty sure about the thermal, I do the sharp turn. But sometimes during the low saves this year, I had to like make it a bit wider and a bit
Mhm.
shallow, because the thermal was really weak. And as it was weak, and I just had to feel the glider to not to sink. So sometimes I was just thermaling half a circle up, and then a zero or plus or positive zero at the other half of the turn. So it really depends on the situation, and
Right.
I always try to feel it like from the bottom, as most of the gliders say. So, or glider pilots say, sorry.
Yeah.
So it really depends. Sometimes, or maybe twice, I really thermaled from like the very low height, almost at the circuit height. I really got a strong thermal, but it really doesn't happen to me that often. And usually the thermal gets stronger the higher I get. So maybe I do something wrong, but this is how I experienced that this year.
So when you say steep, relatively steep bank angle, you're talking what, 50,
Well, yeah, like
50,
45 is the
degrees?
minimum to me.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do it sharper, sometimes I do it like more to the 40 degrees. It
Hmm.
really depends. Or I try to not to think about it. I just try to feel it. And the
Hmm.
stronger the thermal gets, the sharper I do the turn.
Hmm.
Just so I can stay in the strongest center of the
Of the
thermal.
wave.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. So, well, and now it is kind of off season, so this leads into the next question. So, when does your season there typically wind down and everybody packs up their gliders? And what do you do in the off season to stay sharp? Whether that's reading, books or watching YouTubes, or maybe travel down to some southern hemisphere soaring sites or Condor. Maybe you could talk a minute about kind of your off season.
Well, the thermal season typically ends in September in Czech Republic. Sometimes it's like in the beginning, sometimes it's in the end of September. We managed to fly like a really, really short task in the thermals, really the last day of September. But the rest of the September wasn't really thermal friendly. So it really depends. Almost immediately, the thermal season is followed by a wave season. So for me, the season ends mid-November when the wave camp ends. And since then, I only fly occasionally when the weather allows us to, because as I'm an instructor, sometimes we manage to do some flying with the students. But nowadays, the weather really doesn't cooperate for any flying, so it's not that easy. So when the season ends, I usually go through all my flights, or those ones I remember the best. And I usually compare my competition flights with flights of day winners immediately after flight. But I feel like it is great to do it once again with some kind of a hindsight. So I do it like twice. And usually I try to take those IGC files of people I remember that were probably flying with me, or we bumped into each other during the task or something. I also read Soaring engine books by G. Dale every year to refresh the knowledge. I also watch YouTube videos, and now I also plan to explore some flights on WeGlide, if you've heard of that. Some kind of a new OLC. I think that also a mental preparation is really underestimated in our sport. So I also try to devote some time to this part of the preparation. And you mentioned Condor, and I really love the idea of flying Condor during winter, but I'm afraid I would find a new addiction. So I'm kind of rolling over that. But I really like the idea, because most of the pilots on top flew Condor once in a while, and help them do some kind of a tactics preparation. So I think it's really not that bad, and maybe it's my mistake that I'm kind of avoiding that.
Our longtime sponsor of the show, the Soaring Academy, is engaged in nonprofit outreach work with local area veterans and also with young people for the STEM programs at their top-notch glider port facility just outside of Los Angeles, nestled near the north side of the San Gabriel Mountains. They also have a fantastic flight school and are continuing to turn out great glider pilots every month. If you like to donate to their nonprofit initiatives or learn more about their flight school, go to soaringacademy.org or check them out on Instagram at Soaring Academy.
Well, it's also to be able to look at some other. You can look at other landscapes, or if it's a competition you've never flown in that area.
Yeah.
At a minimum, it's good to be able to get kind of a three-dimensional perspective of some some new place.
Actually, I flew from Lesce, which is like a default airport in Condor, and it's in Slovenia, in the Alps. And like few years ago, I think it was 6 years ago, we went there for a few days to fly. And like few weeks earlier, we we just tried to get familiar with the area, because it was the first time for us we flew in the mountains. So it really helped. Also, speaking about the orientation in the area, because as we flew, we knew where we are, where we should go, or where we shouldn't go. So this is really the greatest preparation for any area to which you weren't yet. So yeah, I definitely this is a good thing. So yeah, now we are getting to it. It's my mistake that I'm avoiding that. So
Well, and for younger pilots that don't have a lot of cross country experience, one other cool thing is that you can use like an UDI or even a tablet running XC or something, and you can actually use the flight computer with Condor so that you can kind of learn how to navigate around your screens and where you're swiping and how you're where you're clicking and do all that stuff on the ground so you don't have to figure that out up in the air.
well, yeah, I agree that it might be like a great kind of a low cost preparation tool.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. Yeah. You also mentioned traveling to Southern Hemisphere.
Yes.
Well, it would be my dream to travel there each winter, but it is financially demanding. So
Yes.
it's so it's something I can't afford at the moment, but it is definitely one of the goals. There are some Czech guys now, like in Namibia, so and they are flying 1,000 kilometer tasks, and it is really amazing to watch them. And it would be really great to join them sometime. So maybe I will try the Condor as like most affordable way to try it.
that's yeah. And speaking of Namibia, I just saw the Stefan Longer's latest. Speaking of 1,000 kilometer flights or whatever, but yeah, where they're landing basically as the sun is setting and big
Yeah.
overdeveloped. There's some big storms off on their left, and that was really cool. Yeah, so sticking with the YouTube theme for a minute, now we're going to try a new segment I've been wanting to do for a few months now, and I thought it'd be better for me to be the guinea pig instead of Chuck, because I actually have no idea if this is going to work or not, but basically we're going to try to talk about a few interesting videos we've seen recently up on YouTube, and not only the popular mainstream creators that have been out there and have big followings, but also maybe some new creators or just more fringe pieces of video that we found interesting and could make for engaging conversation. And for reference, of course, we'll toss up links to the videos we talk about in the show notes. And for you listeners out there, if you're around a screen and you have a few minutes, you might want to just pause the podcast and just pop over to YouTube, watch the videos real quick, and then come back over and finish listening up the episode. And if you can't do that, just listen along, and we'll try to describe the videos a little bit as we go along. So Barbara, you ready for this this new kind of segment?
Yeah, I'm well ready. I have my notes on the videos, and I'm really interested if the listeners would enjoy this.
Me too. So
So let's do it.
here we go. So the first one was a YouTube titled "Unexpected Outlanding I Am Terribly Sorry For."
Well, yeah, I think that the title says it all. And to be honest, I was waiting for the whole video. What will actually happen, because there is just a guy sitting in the cockpit and still trying to figure out something on the phone, on the navigation probably. So yeah, I was thinking about the weather, what was going on in the video, because I realized, okay, this is a final glide. So so what is he going to do? Because there were actually some cumulus lines to the left and to the right, and I was a bit confused that he flew just straight in the middle between those lines. So I was like, okay, maybe he's really sure that he will make it to the airfield. And yeah, that the ending, it was really that kind of, oh my god, this escalated quickly. So The final of the video was really, to me, it was really horrifying, to be honest.
Yeah, well, so it's funny. I sometimes with these videos, and especially when they're more than a few minutes long, I'll find myself fast forwarding to the end and sort of, and then work backwards. Like, okay, well, what was this guy sorry for? And then I did that, and I was like, wow, that's that's sketchy. And then I kind of went back to the beginning and then just followed through, and I noticed some of the same things. What with the energy lines, and also it just seemed like he was going unnecessarily fast.
Yeah.
He was probably losing, he's burning altitude that he didn't really need to, because he was just going super quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, that last bit there, and it just seemed like there was a lot of good candidate paddocks and fields to land in. And then, that last turn was really pretty.
I think it was really unnecessary because it was a really sharp turn, really close to the ground. And this is something that shouldn't really happen. And as you said, there were many paddocks all around, which he could probably use for a direct landing, which would be really better, speaking about the safety.
Right.
He handled the situation pretty well after all, because he saved himself, he saved the glider, but I think it was pretty unnecessary. As I understood, it was Lithuania flying,
Mm-hmm.
and as the juniors told me some experiences, there are really areas with short and small fields to land, but this area where our creator of the video was flying, there were pretty long fields, and it didn't really look like that there was something, some grain, like tall grain or something. So yeah, I think that I totally understand why the creator of the video said,
Mm-hmm.
unexpected outlanding, I'm terribly sorry for. And I also read the comment below, and below the video, from the creator, from the author of the video. And he wrote there that it is really hard to watch videos from his gliding past. And I totally agree. It's really not that easy to go back to all this stuff you did, but it is great for others to learn. So I would call this video "Don't do this at home, kids."
Right.
But yeah, but really, really priceless material for everybody to learn.
Yeah, and it's great that he shared it with, because not everybody wants to share things
Yeah.
they're sorry for, and
That's pretty brave, actually, because everybody just wants to be like a hero on social media,
right.
and this is something that should happen more often, just to show others that nobody's perfect, and that you can learn from your own mistakes and from the mistakes of others. So yeah, well, clapping hands for this guy that he posted a video.
And how about you? Whether it's racing or just recreational instruction, do you stick a GoPro in your cockpit and ever go back and look at footage, or you just find it distracting and just don't do that at all? Or what's your perspective?
Well, sometimes I take a phone and video something, but I find this a bit of distraction for me, because I'm trying to focus on what's happening, and usually it's not a problem for me to replay the flight after the flight. And sometimes I put some notes on a paper regarding the flight, like do this, don't do this, or like the pluses and minuses, what I did like wrong, what I did right, to my opinion. And but I think that it is really not that bad idea to put a GoPro, which you can just turn on, start recording, and you just don't have to like care about it for the rest of the battery life. And it is really great to do it from time to time, because you find like those bad habits you have in the cockpit. Because once I found myself still trying to control the plane, still moving with the stick somewhere, and it was really unnecessary. So it is really great for also for those small habits you can do in the cockpit, which are not really that good to do.
Indeed.
So from time to time, it's really good to try, but I don't do it that often, to be honest.
Got it. All right. So next up on our YouTube list here, this YouTube was titled "A Glider Stall at the Ridge. Remember to fly fast." And again, the title pretty much says it, but Barbara, how about you just briefly summarize the video and what were some of your thoughts, and where this was in, I'm going to say Italy, in the Alps somewhere.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. It was somewhere in the Alps in Italy. And basically in the video, there is a two-seater, I suppose, two-seater flying a ridge. And there were pretty nice comments from the author of the video. And as you said, the title says it all. Fly fast, and because ridge flying is basically low flying with less time to think about your reaction. What will you do? So, firstly, I love the commentary of the author that you have to feel it with your lovely bottom. So that was a nice expression to say that your bottom feeling is important during gliding or flying in general. But I think that this video is exactly what G. Dale says in the Soaring Engine Volume 1 in Ridge Flying chapter, because there are some basic rules of flying the ridge, and the author says it all. You have to fly at safe speed, but the author of the video in one of the comments says that they flew something around 43 knots, which is like 80 kilometers per hour. And that's like a pretty slow speed to me, because I was told, and I totally agree with that, speaking about the experience I gained, that flying a ridge at 70 knots, like 130 kilometers per hour, is like a really, really safe speed to fly. Because in a rough air, it's really not that good to have only 80 kilometers per hour. So I think this was like the main issue that that they experienced the stall. And secondly, because the author was kind of trying to explain why it happened. And so firstly, I think it was the low speed they had, because 80 kilometers per hour is really low speed for flying ridge. And also in the video, I think there was, it was visible that there was a small pass or something. And they did the pass crossing. And when there is always a sink and turbulence, like on the either sides of the pass, so the air kind of meets from two directions, so it's obvious that there will be some kind of a sink or turbulence. So maybe they just did this pass crossing with this low speed, and that's why the stall happened. So I think that's kind of my opinion when I watched that.
Well, he took the
And
correct the proper corrective measures, right? So he put the stick down and then turned away
Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
and it's funny, it's, it says ridge in the title. When I first look at the the video, to me it's almost more of like a vertical cliff face. I mean, typically
Yeah. To me, it seems the
when I hear the
same.
word ridge, I'm picturing something out, like where Chuck is from, where you have these kind of, gentle rolling hills. And even in G. Dale's book, when he draws a picture of most of the
Yeah.
ridge lift, and of course, he's from the UK, and it probably is a bit like that. But yeah, I'm looking at this, and it looked really like a pretty steep cliff face. And
Yeah.
I've always wondered, because I've never flown in anything like that. I've always wondered, how the air behaves when you have such a almost vertical surface like that.
Yeah, well, once I remember it was during one of the wave camps where we didn't fly because the weather was pretty not that friendly. I won't use bad language, sorry. So the weather really didn't cooperate. So we spent most of the days on ground, and once we were like thinking, "Oh my God, how the air behaves like that," and also and we were trying how it's called, shisha, like smoking from the pipe, and we blew the smoke through like a different obstacles, and we're thinking how the air works. So
Mm-hmm.
and we also tried like a wall or just a paper on a table, and I think well, it's also obvious that it's different from like a cliff or something, but it was pretty interesting to see how the smoke behaved when it's just got round the cliff like a paper. And I don't know actually how to explain how it looked like, because some of the smoke went backwards and rolled back, and some of the
Yeah.
smoke went like up the paper and over the paper. So it really depends on the wind direction, I would say. And probably because I saw some videos of Matt Wright Baleka, who flew the White Cliffs in the UK. So that was pretty easy because the
Mm-hmm.
wind blew like from the sea, and it was pretty straight direction to the cliffs, so it worked pretty well. But speaking about those steep ridges, if we may call it ridge, in the
Right.
mountains. I think it might be affected, like from the valley, like from most of the other ridges that are at the other side of the valley. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really hard to, for me, it is really hard to imagine how the air kind of works or behaves in such
Mm-hmm.
cliffs in the mountainous area, and not like from the sea in the UK White Cliffs. So it is really good point to think about it. Maybe there was some kind of, not a past, but maybe other like nuances speaking about the wind direction. So God knows.
Yeah.
We would need to try to find out.
Aerox, the number one in portable and engineered aviation oxygen systems, your source for FAA approved oxygen masks and portable oxygen systems, and now introducing the Aerox Pro 2 Plus Flight Bag portable oxygen system. Small, lightweight, and simple to use, the Pro 2 Plus is perfect for the occasional user who wants the flexibility to access higher altitudes without worry about flying impaired. Now available at Aerox distributors and at aerox.com. So remember, our friends at Aerox, engineered for aviators.
So last but not least on our video list, and speaking of pretty steep, big mountains in the Alps, the title of this next one, Glider Outlands in Alpine Valley. And I remember the first time I watched this, my eyes got very big, and I was I felt the glider was really boxed into this pretty confined area, or at least it would probably feel like that to me in the cockpit. And I just started to feel kind of claustrophobic, but you got this giant ring of mountains and fields that didn't look particularly big from up in the air, and you were just talking about the effects of valley and mountain winds in when we were talking about that cliff face in Italy, and then and I'm just thinking, well, how the hell would you have any idea what the winds are doing when you're basically surrounded by giant mountains, and and there's not like wind socks or tetrahedrons down there to really help you much. But anyway, kind of fast forward to the ending. The guy makes a great landing, but it also wasn't in a field that I was looking at in the video when he's descending. But I just thought it was a really cool video, and he stayed really calm, and I think he made some good decisions. But I don't know. What did you think of this one?
Well, definitely to me, I totally agree with you. It was a view and a situation that is like most of the glider pilot's nightmare. So when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, so is he thermaling now? So it will be a last safe, and then he will fly to the valley, or what is going to happen? So well, when first thing that I was trying to find out, or what I was like searching for, were the fields or free spots to land. And obviously there were many usable fields to land, and I quite liked the author's commentary, because he kind of spoke to himself in flight. And well, when you have some time, it is great to talk to yourself and say out loud the idea you have. And maybe hearing the idea out loud helps to like rethink if it's a good idea, because when you say it loud, it's real. So this was pretty amazing, because we knew what he was thinking in the video, and we could clearly see what's like below him. And well, speaking about the wind, this is a situation that when you can't really rely on the like wind calculations in your navigation. So it was a good point from him to watch how the wind blows on the ground, because obviously, as you said, it gets really tricky in the valley or between the mountains in the mountainous area. So he was trying to find out how the wind blows on ground. So this was pretty great. Also, he pointed out the like maintaining the airspeed, the airspeed, and in such stressful situations, and also when lower than the mountain peaks, the airspeed is the key, because as you don't see the horizon, you don't have anything to measure the turns and the airspeed. So this was also a good point from him, like to himself. And it was really a Shakespeare question he mentioned. Land uphill when downwind, or land downhill upwind. So I think he chose wise. And
He
He
chose an uphill landing, right? As
Yeah,
an
yeah,
armor.
yeah, 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 yeah. And he also mentioned, because he had like two options, as I understood.
Mhm.
Um, I kind of chose the same field he chose, so it was some kind of a competition for me if I chose wise or not.
Right.
But I chose the same field as he did, and he also had some kind of a second choice. And he pointed out himself that it's really not that good idea to land downwind. So I think he handled the situation amazingly, and he stuck to the first plan, not changing it last minute, which is like really important in those stressful situations, because
Right.
you have to be really sure with your solution you come up with. So he handled the situation amazingly, and yeah, honestly, it was terrifying to me to watch, but yeah, another great piece to learn something more.
Yeah, that was it was a really cool video, and thanks to the gliding goat on Instagram, Joe Capra, for that video link. I hadn't seen that before, so that was really cool. So I think we'll jump right into the lightning round. Have you heard any of our lightning round segments on previous episodes? You kind of know how this goes.
Yeah. I think we did a few lightning rounds with Chuck, so hopefully I won't prolong that much, because I'm pretty talkative speaking about gliding. So sorry for that.
It is it is it's actually been a lot of fun since we started doing this. I've always enjoyed the kind of the banter with pilots as we rip through these. So first up, who are two or three female pilots you most look up to or think the racing community should take more notice of?
Well, it's really hard to choose only two or three women pilots, because each of the women pilots I know inspire me in a different way. So I would say all of the glider pilot, like female glider pilots, I know, but the biggest motivational pilot to me is Alena Netušelová, Czech glider pilot. She is really amazing glider pilot. She knows really well how to prepare herself for flying. So she's like really the greatest mention.
All right. And number two, if you could pick just one and only one, what glider port or region would be at the top of your wish list of places to go soaring, and why?
I can't only pick one place. I'm sorry. There are many so places I would love to soar. I would love to visit Australia again, New Zealand, Namibia, California, even Hawaii, and their exciting wave conditions, the Ants. So all of those places are on my top list.
Number three, what's the highest altitude you've ever been in a glider, and where was it at? And you probably answered that earlier when you were talking about wave camp, I'm assuming.
Yeah, well, it was in Czech Republic, obviously, during wave flying in the Jeseníky area. It was back in 2017 when I gained my diamond height, and it was 6,000 meters and 800 meters QNH. So this was the highest height I've ever been to.
All right, number four. What's the longest solo out and return flight you've ever done, and where was it, and how long was the flight?
Well, I don't really fly out and return flights. I enjoy triangles more, as it is something more challenging. Out and return flights were usually abandoned triangle or polygon declarations. So, but maybe it was 100 kilometers or something.
Okay. Number five. We ask this to pretty much every pilot that comes on, but for female pilots, maybe there's some different solutions here. P-tube, P-bag, diaper, hold it for as long as you can.
I used to hold it, but it wasn't pretty good idea. I now have a special toilet with a small pump and a small tank, so I don't splash the unwanted all over the glider. And in the wave, I have a diaper, as it is a better and more comfortable, but there is always a big self-denial to use it. And freezing your bottom off in minus 30 degrees of Celsius with wet diaper is really not that pleasant. So it is like the long lasting question we have to solve. Speaking about like female pilots and female gliding.
All right, number where are we? Number 6. If you could fly your glider at only one bank angle other than 0 degrees level, what would it be?
I like the thermal, more sharper turns, as we probably mentioned earlier on. So definitely more sharp than less, depending on the thermal strength.
And I know you have trouble picking one, but
Yeah, I do.
favorite type of lift, all things equal, thermal, wave, ridge, or convergence?
You would hate me for this answer, but each one has a place in my heart, and they are so different, but yet all of them are same pure joy. So yeah, I can't pick one.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Number 8. What is the strangest or most spectacular thing you've ever seen while in a glider cockpit?
Well, each flight is spectacular to me, but the most exciting thing I saw was a funnel cloud during a flight. It was a pretty strange experience, and I would love to say that I saw something like more exceptional, like UFO, but I only found crop circles in the north of the Czech Republic during a competition, and that was a pretty nice thermal. So thanks, ET.
Okay. Number 9. What is the worst place you've landed out, and why did it suck?
I remember that pretty well. It was during Junior Worlds back in 2019. I outlanded on a really short, soft, and dusty field. It wasn't just retrieving the glider, but nearly excavating it. I landed more to the side of the field, so it took us only 5 meters to the trailer, but it felt like really endless. And there was also a French pilot who landed more in the middle of the field, so the excavations took a little while, and it was a really tough and really dusty experience. So this was the worst place, I guess.
All right, number 10. Money, no object, and you could only spend it on a glider. What dream glider would you buy, and what do you like about it? And for this one, you can't say all of them. You do have to pick one.
Okay, I will pick one. As I haven't really tried the top gliders at the moment, so for now I can say that it would be LS818 with nav winglets on 50-meter wingspan and maybe the fast engine.
Okay. Number 11. Your favorite glider port accommodations: tent, RV, local flea bag motel, sofa in the clubhouse, or in the back of your car with a sleeping bag.
Well, I love sleeping under a wing outside, but during a competition, I try to maintain some kind of comfort during the flying. So I'm in a tent, and also I'm a regular girl with lots of stuff traveling. So the tent is perfect for me. And at my home airfield, I have a tiny house with comfortable bed, and as well, I live 5 minutes away from my home airfield, so I can decide where to stay.
Just Soaring, the makers of the Glider Sim Pro sailplane simulator cockpit, would like to congratulate German pilot Ben Fest for his recent victory in the first ever FAI-sanctioned aviation esports event in history, the Sailplane World Grand Prix, which Ben won after several days of exciting competition against some of the top Condor soaring pilots from around the world. If you are looking for a best-in-class dedicated sailplane simulator cockpit for Condor or Microsoft Flight Sim, look no further than the Just Soaring Glider Sim Pro. Check them out at justsoaring.com or at just.soaring on Instagram.
Alrighty, and next, what is your favorite flight computer? Irrespective of what you currently have in your glider, just what would be your ideal flight computer Vario combination, and what do you like about it?
That's probably the easiest question for me. It's Alex 9000. It's the most easier flight computer I ever flew with. It's nice to handle. There also are the stick controls. The variometer works perfectly. So this is my favorite one so far.
And next, if you had to rank various weather products available to soaring pilots, which one would you rank overall the best solution?
Well, I would probably do a small advert to Matthew Scudder because I'm really satisfied with SkySight weather forecast. So I use it regularly for 2 years maybe. Also, there is an honorable mention of another weather forecast, which I use to compare the SkySight forecast, and that is FlyMet. It is developed actually by my wingman from my home airfield, Jan Horák. And he works on this himself. He tries the best. And SkySight Weather and FlyMet, those two are probably the best forecasts for glider pilots I've ever used.
Excellent. And we're getting close to the end, second to the last. You are at the gas station. Somebody comes up to you and asks, what's in the trailer? You say a mini drag racing car, a mini submarine, a large model rocket, or just be boring and tell them it's a glider.
I have another option. It's a dead giraffe, of course.
Okay, good. Nice. And last but not least, you get back to your pad at the end of a long soaring day or a competition. What's the first thing you do? Take a shower, drink a cold beer or other beverage of choice, look at your flight trace and start making notes of what you did wrong, or flop on the bed and take a nap while still wearing your bucket hat?
Well, I usually spend quite a long time at the glider or at the trailer after flight. So firstly, I send the IGC file. I have a beer. I clean the glider. I de-rigged or tied down the glider. I sit there for a while and just relive or replay the flight in my head and think about what was right and what was wrong decision. Then I have a shower, and then during dinner, I usually compare my IGC files with day winners or pilots I remember did a different decision than me. So this is like a regular stuff I do after flight.
A regular routine. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was fun, and well, good to have you back on the podcast. And hopefully we can catch up with you maybe this time next year and do kind of a look back on the 2022 season. And we're wishing you the best for the upcoming competition season. And
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And happy soaring and stay safe.
Yeah, absolutely. Stay safe too. And thank you again for having me on the podcast. And it's really great honor for me. And I love to speak about gliding. I could do that for hours. So it will be my pleasure to catch up with you next year and have a kind of a retrospective what happens. And it would be really great to talk again.
All right. Well, thanks again, Barbara, and we will catch up next year.
Yeah, let's catch up next year. And thank you all for listening to my bad jokes.
Hey, it's Chuck. Just wanted to jump in here before we close the show and thank Mitch and Barbara for bringing us that fun chat. You know, I really enjoyed the discussion of those soaring YouTube videos. You can find the links to those if you haven't seen them yet in the show notes. And if you have an interesting soaring video you've seen recently, we would love for you to share it with us. And you can do that by dropping us an email with the link there. That's chuck@soaringthesky.com. Until next time, stay healthy, stay safe, and happy soaring.
If you would like to say hi and let us know where you are enjoying the podcast, we would love to hear from you. If you are a glider pilot and want to share your aviation journey, contact us at chuck@soaringthesky.com or send us a message on our website at soaringthesky.com and Chuck will get in touch with you. We hope you join us next time for another soaring adventure here on Soaring the Sky, a Glider Pilots podcast. Soaring the Sky is written and produced by Chuck Fulton, co-producer Mitch Thompson. Original music for the podcast was written and produced by Kim Spangler. Graphic design for the podcast was created by Zachary Fulton. Voiceover work was done by Michelle Perez.